Have you ever seen an airplane that was obviously out of place? What about running into someone who seems like they just stepped out of a different time period? Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about a mysterious incident involving a plane that flew backward in time and the people who were on it. You've probably heard of the Bermuda Triangle. This area is infamous for unexplained disappearances of ships and planes, and one such incident involved a Pan-American World Airways flight. On July 2, 1955, Pan Am Flight 914 took off from New York and bound for Miami, Florida, carrying 57 passengers and 4 crew members. The weather was perfect, and there was nothing to indicate that this flight would be anything but routine. As the plane soared over the Caribbean, it vanished from radar. There was no distress call, no explosion, just the sudden, inexplicable disappearance of the aircraft. Search teams were dispatched, but despite extensive efforts, no trace of the plane or its passengers was found. Weeks turned into months and the mystery deepened. Was Flight 914 lost forever, or was there something more to its disappearance? Fast forward to 1992, almost 4 decades since the mysterious disappearance of Flight 914. The year is 1992, and the place is Caracas, Venezuela. Juan de la Corte, an air traffic controller, spots an anomaly on his radar screen. It's a blip that shouldn't be there. At first he thinks it's a malfunction, but then it becomes clear that he's tracking a Douglas DC-4, a plane model that hasn't been seen in the skies for decades. Intrigued and slightly puzzled, Juan makes radio contact with the aircraft. He asks the pilot to identify himself, and the response he receives is both startling and unbelievable. The pilot states that he is the commanding officer of Pan Am Flight 914 from New York to Miami. A chill runs down Juan's spine. He checks his records and confirms that Flight 914 disappeared on July 2, 1955. The date he's tracking is May 21, 1992. Juan is now faced with a mystery that defies logic and understanding. Before he can process what's happening, he hears a frantic shout from the pilot of the plane on his radar. "No! Stay away! We're leaving now!" The pilot immediately sounded the alarm and pressed the throttle. The plane lurched forward, and within seconds was airborne. The impossible DC-4 shot straight into the sky, disappearing into the clouds above Caracas. But this was only the start of the bizarre incident. After the plane took off again, the airport staff looked at each other in disbelief. They couldn't comprehend what they had just witnessed. The plane from the 1950s had just taken off from right in front of them, but how? As soon as the plane was airborne, Juan knew he needed to report this incident to his superiors. He quickly relayed the information to the headquarters, but his description of the situation was met with disbelief. They thought he was joking or perhaps having some sort of mental breakdown. Could it be possible for a plane to fly backwards in time? The very idea seemed preposterous. Despite the skepticism from his colleagues, Juan insisted that what he had seen and heard was real. This time Juan was prepared. He immediately contacted the airport officials, and they were able to track the plane as it landed. Eyewitnesses at Miami International Airport described what they saw as a scene from a movie. A vintage DC-4 touched down on the runway as if it were 1955, not 1992. Some witnesses even reported seeing passengers wearing clothes from the 1950s stepping out of the plane. The landing of Flight 914 was not just a spectacle, it was a mystery. People started to wonder if this was a stunt, a time travel experiment, or something else entirely. But the plot thickened when a passenger disembarked from the plane. He asked one of the airport staff for directions to the local hotel. And this was when things got really weird. The man asked for directions to the Franklin D. Roosevelt Hotel. But the problem was that the FDR Hotel had been demolished decades ago. The airport staff were flabbergasted. How could someone from the 1950s know about a hotel that no longer existed? As the passengers of Flight 914 disembarked, medical personnel were waiting to examine them. The examination revealed something shocking. The passengers did not appear to have aged a day since 1955. They were exactly the same age as they would have been if they had simply disappeared 37 years prior. This discovery added another layer of complexity to the already perplexing situation. How could these people have somehow managed to stop time for almost 4 decades? News of the incident spread like wildfire. The media descended on Miami International Airport, eager to get to the bottom of this baffling mystery. Reporters tried to interview the passengers, but they were evasive and reluctant to talk about their experiences. Some passengers even claimed that their watches and calendars still showed the date as July 2, 1955. The story of Flight 914 became a sensation overnight. One passenger recounted, "We were flying along and everything was fine. Then suddenly the lights went out and the next thing I knew I was waking up here." Another passenger added, "I don't know what happened to the plane or why we landed here. All I know is that I haven't aged a day since 1955. These first-hand accounts only served to deepen the enigma surrounding the plane. How could everyone on board have slept through a 37-year disappearance? And why did they seem so confused upon waking up in 1992? The reappearance of Flight 914 raised many questions, but provided few answers. The incident left scientists, researchers, and the public at large scratching their heads, wondering if they would ever get to the bottom of this bizarre mystery. In the wake of the incident, various theories emerged to try and explain what happened to Flight 914. Some experts believe that the plane may have traveled through a wormhole, a theoretical passageway through space-time that connects two distant points in the universe. If the wormhole transported the plane and its passengers to the past, it would explain their reappearance after a significant time lapse. However, the existence of wormholes is purely hypothetical, and there is no concrete evidence to support their use for time travel. Another theory suggests that Flight 914 may have been affected by a rare atmospheric phenomenon known as a time storm. Time storms are said to occur when there is a sudden and dramatic change in the Earth's magnetic field, which can cause temporal distortions. If the plane happened to fly through a time storm, it could have been transported back in time. However, time storms are largely considered a fringe theory, and there is limited scientific consensus on their occurrence or effects. There's also the intriguing possibility that Flight 914 was briefly pulled into another dimension. This theory aligns with the Bermuda Triangle reputation for mysterious occurrences. According to this theory, the plane may have exited the Bermuda Triangle at a different point in time. While the idea of interdimensional travel is popular in science fiction, there is no scientific basis to support this theory. Some have even suggested that the incident was the result of a government experiment gone wrong. The U.S. military has conducted numerous classified experiments related to time travel and the manipulation of space-time. It is conceivable that one of these experiments may have inadvertently caused Flight 914 to disappear. However, there is no evidence to support this conspiracy theory. The sudden reappearance of Flight 914 with its passengers unchanged in time remains an enduring mystery. The incident captured the public imagination and spawned countless theories and debates. While there is no definitive explanation for what happened, the story continues to fascinate and intrigue those who are captivated by the paranormal and the unknown. As time goes on, more theories will likely emerge, and the truth behind Flight 914 may eventually be uncovered. Until then, the incident serves as a reminder that there are still many mysteries in the world that defy rational explanation. So do you think the plane actually flew backwards in time, or was it a hoax? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Thank you for watching.